Shut up and sit down.
Welcome to the Health and Wealth Podcast with your hosts, Tim and Carter.
What's trending, Enrichers? Carter Wilcoxon, founder of CSI Financial Group here, with my co-host and former wealth advisor, Tim James, founder of
ChemicalFreeBody.com and your new health advisor. This is the show where we reveal the connection between physical and financial abundance.
Hey, welcome back, Enrichers. Carter Wilcoxon here, joined by my esteemed co-host, Mr. Chemical Free Body himself, Tim James, coming in from cool Portland, Oregon right now. Right, Tim?
It's overcast, it's rainy, and yeah, it's been around 44 degrees, which is pretty cool for around here. We got some snow up on Mount Hood, so that's cool.
Yeah.
I'd probably like to take my kids and go up there and maybe do some snowboarding or something, or sledding. Or snowshoeing. Or build a snowman.
Wait a second. You do snowshoeing? Are you serious?
Yeah, I did that last year. That was a lot of fun.
Oh, wow. I thought that was just something I saw in cartoons growing up on Saturday mornings.
No, dude, there was a ton of people up there snowshoeing. It was like, what? I mean, you got to get up there early to get parking in the parking lots. It's crazy in some of these places.
Wow. Well,
it's just too many people. We're having like 400 kids, and it's just like 7 billion people. When's it going to stop? We're going to 14 billion and 21 trillion. You know, it's just like, I thought about that, but I was thinking about that not too long ago. It's like we keep just growing and expanding as a species. And normally in nature, like, back home, if there's a whole bunch of mice and stuff, right, then there are more hawks. And then the hawks eat up all the mice. There's not so many mice. And then some of the hawks starve off. So it kind of keeps everything in balance. I don't know. We have to really think about that. What are we doing as far as keeping in balance with nature? And I think that's one of the reasons we have a lot of problems today.
Yeah. Well, speaking of keeping in balance with nature, I just got back from finishing up a weekend of 54 holes of golf in my member golf tournament. And so balancing out the perfect weather, it was like 72 degrees and gorgeous. And I know that my hour two guest today, which, by the way, Enrichers, I'm very excited about our guest today, simply because this is the first time on the Health and Wealth Podcast show, and again, welcome back, that we have two guests speaking. They're co-founders of their company that we're going to be talking about here momentarily. So I think Nobleco, yes, it's very exciting because they just launched not too long ago. And they get to be our very first co-guest on the Health and Wealth Podcast. So Marti McLeish and Stephanie Murphy, welcome to the Health and Wealth Podcast.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. Yeah, we're excited to be here. So I'm glad to be the first for something. So we're here. This is great.
Well, we are super excited to have you here and everything. And, Marti, I'm going to start with you simply because we know each other from a former life, and we started talking basically because I think I commented something on one of your LinkedIn posts and everything, and then you reached out to me, and I didn't realize that we had known each other from, the whole IMO, FMO world, and then you shared with me that you were starting your business development coaching. You're going to get a chance to share that with the Enrichers, what it is that the two of you are doing and everything, but let's get started with you, if you don't mind, and talk a little bit about how we knew each other in the industry and what you probably both came to realize what was missing and needed out there when it comes to refining your business as a financial advisor.
Yeah, absolutely. So we go way back. I started in the IMO world back in 2002. Right out of college. And I was working with one FMO for almost 13 years. So in and out of advisors' offices over those 13 years, Carter, a big part of that was, helping out with case design and things like that. But another big piece of that was working with their operations, helping them with, different marketing opportunities, introducing them to educational workshops, because back then that's when all of that was first getting started, and moving into those types of things. So really that's where my passion for working directly with the advisor started. And, towards the end of my time at the FMO I was at, I really started exploring their staff, the advisor staff, and really saying, how can we have the staff work more efficiently for the advisor, to really kind of take him out of the day-to-day, or take her out of the day-to-day, and allow for them to kind of own the clients once they become clients. And we did some work towards that. And it was really great, except for the problem was I'd never been on the other side. I'd never been an advisor myself. I didn't have that experience to say, it's just enough knowledge to really feel comfortable in telling, this staff what to do. So after being in the IMO world, I, went on and, I've had my own practice, worked with another number of other advisors as well. But once I got that experience to understand, okay, this is what it's like. I mean, it's a lot, right? I mean, it's a lot to just sit down and talk to somebody about their finances, let alone running the whole business behind the scenes. So that's really where my passion came from, because it's like, we've got a lot of great people, great advisors, great insurance agents out there doing the right thing, trying to help their clients build their retirement plans. It's like, let's let them do what they do best and help run the practice and kind of steer the ship, if you will.
Yeah.
So that's where we're.
No, and that's awesome. So I'm always interested, because I know my story and how I got into this industry is really crazy. In fact, I was just sharing it with one of my new vendors today that happened to have the same name as the guy, and his name's Dane. I said, it's funny that, we're talking about the future and what it is that we're going to be doing together potentially, but it all started with a guy by the name of Dane. And he was like, well, what do you mean? I said, well, so I met the guy who brought me into the industry because I was his caddy at a private country club. And we know who we're talking about. I think Ron Schertz, who brought me into the business. And I said, the caddy that normally caddied for him didn't show up that morning. So I got the loop. And that's how we're even having the Health and Wealth podcast show today. So it's interesting. So I'm curious.
I think we might have to change our name, Carter, to the Health and Wealth and Golf podcast.
Yeah, I like that. So Marti, I'm actually interested in, how did you even get into the financial services / IMO world in the first place?
Yeah, 1,000% by accident. I had no idea what I was signing up for. The name of the company had marketing in the title. I just graduated with a degree in management with a minor in marketing. I was like, well, this has got to be it.
Yeah.
And
sign me up.
I'm in. And I went in and met, and it was, when you're 21 years old, it's like, you have this vision for what especially if you're in business, you have this vision for what your career is going to look like. And to start in a high-rise building, and they're going to bring me in as a manager right out of college. I'm like, yeah. And it was really quickly after that. And so the firm I worked for was a long-term care shop to start. And really within the first year is when long-term care kind of went off the deep end. And they brought in annuities. And so I was on the kind of the forefront of that new venture within the firm. And that I just took to that product line, took to the training. And that, it was around that point when I realized, oh, this is what we do. I'm working with financial advisors and insurance agents. Okay, this makes sense. And then I really I fell in love with it. And it's, funny to say, but I didn't go to bed dreaming at night as a child that I was going to work for an IMO when I graduated college. But it all
hey
worked
guys,
out.
I think most people listening, sorry to cut you off, but most people listening know what an IMO is. But for those that don't, could you shed some light on that? Because does that stand for the International Maritime Organization? For the layperson, what is that?
Insurance Marketing Organization, not to be confused with FMO, Field Marketing Organization. So
right,
they go by a number of different acronyms, but it's the
IMO, GMO, genetically modified organism, and FMO.
No, those are GMOs are bad, right?
GMOs are bad. Okay, that's good. You guys know that. That's great. Okay, continue, please.
Yeah, so that's kind of how I fell into the IMO world.
Yeah. So obviously, Stephanie Murphy, we're just now getting a chance to meet one another. I know Marti has spoken a lot about her business partner and everything. So this is our first chance to get to know one another, and our enrichers are going to get to learn about you at the same time. So, kind of sort of the same question going back to like, how did you stumble? Because that's almost like across the board how it normally works, right? You just stumbled into this business. You don't even know it exists. Like whenever you're going to school or whatever. And I know for me, it was complicated to explain to other people when they would ask me, so what do you do? I'm like, that's a great question. Like, how do I even answer that question? So anyway, Stephanie, if you don't mind, share a little bit like Marti did about how you got your beginnings into the IMO FMO world.
Yeah, you bet. It's a funny story too, because similar to Marti, I had a degree in business with my minor in marketing. And so I was actually in my final year of school. And I remember saying like, oh gosh, I need an internship. And I had remembered that my dentist office, which also employed my aunt and my other aunt, so one was a hygienist and one ran the front desk, they used to get the mail for this marketing company that was upstairs from them, who happened to be the same one that Marti had started with. And so I reached out to my aunt and I said, hey, remember that marketing company that used to be there? Do you know anybody there? And so she reached out. And then next thing I know, I had an interview to start as an intern. And I came in, we had a brand new president, and I came in as an intern and an executive assistant to the president. And it was really interesting because I was doing this very high level work at a very, very young age and trying to figure out like, what is my space here? What exactly am I doing, right? All I remember is just like copying these numbers up on the board to show like what our annuity numbers were. And I mean, that was part of my job. And that quickly advanced into helping in the HR space, and then getting into the hiring space. And then I started doing comp work for all of our new marketers coming in. And that just kept expanding from there. So I spent 10 years in that space, same company as Marti did. That's where we met. And I literally did every single job. So as I started as an executive assistant, moved into HR, then took on a sales role inside of annuities because that was growing and I had some ideas about it. So they said, hey, let's put you in there. Went from from annuity sales to running our life department, from life department to running our marketing. Then I took a 3-month break and had my first child. I now have 4. And I took a break and came back and started running our operations. And then under that operations, I had all of our teams rolling up through me. And at the same time, we were launching an RIA. So we worked on that whole process. So everything was just like trial by fire. And so finally I got really involved in a tool that we had used called the predictive index. And so we brought predictive index in, I think actually after Sure West we had gotten that. And I got trained in that. I got really excited about it, and then had the opportunity to go and consult with that. So I left the direct IMO world and went out and started doing consulting in the predictive index space. And so still worked with my previous company. And I always make the jokes because I said, they still get all my brains, but they don't have to pay my benefits. And so still work with them as well as multiple other companies. So now for the last 10 years, I've been consulting business owners and leaders, everything from 2-people startups and some financial advisories to Fortune 100 companies. And so kind of fast forward into where Marti and I are now. She came to me and she said, I really feel like this is a missing element. And I said, I agree. I think that there's this space inside of the world where we spend so much time educating the advisors and the insurance agents, getting them up to speed, but there's just this missing piece in helping to make sure that their operations are up and running. And she had this brilliant idea that I said, yes, I would love to support. And the more we started doing it, we said, oh my gosh, there's so much opportunity here. people are struggling. People they're struggling with stress and with anxiety. They're not sure if they want to grow. They're not sure if they want to do these things, and they don't want to do all this stuff. They want to do what they do best, and that's, serve clients and create strategies that are going to make a difference for the clients that they have. So we decided to partner this year and launch Nobleco in June of this year, and it's been taken off. And we're really excited to be here and talking about the work that we do, because it really is a passion project for us, and are so thrilled to be launching this together, obviously.
Yeah, that's all. Go ahead, Tim. It looks like you're going to say something.
I was just going to say that's really cool. I can see why you guys had them on. It seems like their values are right in line with what you're doing, Carter. So yeah. Well,
it's interesting, and I know we're getting ready to go to a commercial break, and I know whenever we come back, we're going to get more into specifically what you guys are doing now that you've launched since June. But whenever Marti and I first reconnected, because we've been in the same industry for a couple of decades, now almost, the alignment was there, Tim. That's exactly what it was. I think she appreciated what it was that we were trying to do to obviously make our industry, better, make the advisors that we work with better, help them to win what I call the relationship war that's being waged day in and day out with those 10 to 11,000 baby boomers a day that are retiring over the next 15 years. And, how do you get your, market share? How do you win those clients over and everything? And they need a team of supportive people that can help them, and they can't do everything. So yeah, there was a lot of alignment from the get-go, and I think I recognize that with what they were trying to accomplish, and vice versa. So it was a no-brainer to have Marti and obviously now Stephanie on the podcast today.
Yeah, that's really cool. So we'll take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll get more into Marti and Stephanie's journey into Nobleco and what those guys do over there to help advisors take their businesses to the stratosphere stress-free. We'll be right back.
Estate planning. What does that even mean? When the inevitable happens for everyone on this planet, your estate plan kicks into action. But first, let's start with what an estate is. An estate is simply everything you own. Now, here's the issue and what needs to be understood when this event occurs. You only have two choices on this plan. Number one, either you plan how your estate gets handed out and distributed to those you leave behind. Or number two, your state decides who gets everything you own. For the first time ever, you can now take complete and total control of this plan that you've been deprived of for most of your life and generations before you. You can get personalized assistance along the way with a team of specialists whose job it is to make sure you have true peace of mind. It's important to understand that estate planning is a journey, and rest assured that our team will be available to you all along the way and at every step. Welcome to eState Plan, home of the last estate plan you'll ever need. To learn more, make sure to reach out to your local advisor licensed with us, or go to our website for more information.
What's up, Enrichers? Tim James here. I'm back with my co-host Carter Wilcoxon. Today in the house we have two people, Marti and Stephanie from Nobleco. So one of you, I think Marti went first last time, so Stephanie, you can go first this time. We'll switch it around. So just sum it up. What is Nobleco? What do you guys do? And how are you helping advisors out there?
Yeah, I love it. So Nobleco is a consultancy that helps advisors create a more stress-free practice. And what we do is we bring both qualitative and quantitative insights. So that means we're going to do eyes-on research or eyes-on questioning, working within the firm, as well as doing surveys and qualitative things that are going to help us understand what's happening within the business to help direct an advisor on how they can create a more effective and efficient practice. Ultimately, our job and what we feel like all the time is to bring more fun, more freedom, and more financial fulfillment to our advisors and to their staff. So we want to help create alignment around the work that they're doing and ensure that they're having a lot of fun with it. So that's the kind of big picture of what we do. Marti, anything you want to add to that?
Well, let me ask this question actually, because what I was going to do, and I'll let you add to it first, but then what I'm going to also ask you, Marti, is who are those like ideal kind of candidates? Like who do you help the most, as well as expand on what Stephanie just said?
Yeah. So in expanding, I'll be able to answer that question, Carter. So really the folks that are in the business that are looking for growth to hit that next level. So, somebody that's been in the business, I think about a number of our recent clients, they've been in the business for, 10, 15 years. They kind of feel like they've reached this, capacity as far as business goes, but they don't know why. So maybe it's because they're doing too much. They just don't feel like they have the time. Maybe they aren't sure what the next step is. What do I do as far as marketing? I don't know how to generate new business. But it's also for somebody that's looking for succession planning. So somebody that's looking, I say both, they're looking and maybe they're not looking, but they need to be looking for succession planning. I mean, it all kind of is rolled up into one. But that person or that advisor that just isn't sure. They know they're capable of growth. They know they're capable of more. They see what their peers are doing, but they just don't know what the next steps are. And so that's when our first step is to really understand, where they've been, where they're trying to go, what are their goals, really evaluate who their staff is, efficiencies or lack thereof within the practice, and see what is bottlenecking this, what is preventing you from, having this growth that you're looking for. I think back to somebody we spoke with just recently that said, I have 3 kids. They're all either in college or out of college on their own now. And I'm ready for that next step. I'm ready to devote all my time to my practice and really grow, but I don't feel like I can do anymore. I feel like I'm here 12 hours a day. I don't feel like I don't know what else to do. And so those are the folks that we can come in and really kind of, help, whether it's working with operations and the people within the firm and identifying, processes and systems so that they can follow those systems, pull the advisor out of it and go to that next step. We also get a lot of folks reaching out saying, hey, I'm looking for a director of operations or I'm looking for a chief of staff. And what our message is, you might need to, it depends on who we're talking to and what the practice looks like. But in many cases, we're able to go into these firms and say, hey, if we just put together a few of these systems and processes and align your staff and do a little bit of training over here, we can free up your time, but we can allow for you to have your either the staff that you have now, maybe bring on a mid-level manager to take care of like implementing some of these things, but we can save you a lot of money from hiring somebody over the next 10, 15 years at a 6-figure salary. So those are our sweet spots.
Nice. So just out of curiosity, because obviously, we are in that wholesale insurance world and everything, is your identified targeted audience more of the insurance advisor that are sort of like solo out there, or are you looking for more of the like a registered rep, RIA type that might have 2 or 3 administrative staff people and maybe some sub advisors and stuff like that, or everywhere in between? And
yeah,
I was about to say, I guess that question is for anybody that wants to answer it.
Yeah, I'll answer that because it really is, it really is both. I mean, and we have a lot of clients who run in different kind of circles, but basically if you have a staff or you're considering bringing on a staff, if you're getting to this point where you're asking yourself this question of like, I don't know if I want to grow anymore because I just don't want any more stress. I don't want the work for it. Or I think I need somebody to come in and do it. And you're just wishing that you could hire this person, which we all know hiring is so difficult right now as it is, but I wish that I could just hire this person to like take this stress off of me. Then we're the right fit for that organization. And so we understand the financial space, but we also understand just the business operations space. So it allows us to expand a lot across multiple different arenas. But I would say that if you are an independent agent in the insurance world, you have 1 to 2 people who are working for you, and you're asking yourself, how do I do more? How do I create more space for myself? And how do I have more fun in the work that I'm doing? That's the right fit. If you are a registered rep, and even if you've got people, maybe some juniors that are working underneath you, and you're just wondering, are you getting the most out of the people that you have? It's our job ultimately to help us understand, how do we get each person working at their highest point of contribution? So that's even our advisors. And it's so funny because so often Marti and I will go in to these offices, and one of the things that we ask people to assess is, what is their dollar per hour value, right? And as an advisor, you're looking at somewhere between $150 to $500 an hour is what your dollar per hour value is. And when you really start to evaluate the kind of work that you're doing, like how much of that work is really at that, $150, $250 work, so much of their work is spent in that $15 to $20 an hour space, prepping documents, creating the things that they need, doing their client follow-up, things where every single marketing idea has to come from their own brain in real time. There's no systems put in place. And ultimately, if we don't have those systems, we cannot leverage things and grow. So I would say that it really does run the gamut. And what we found is kind of the sweet spot is an independent business owner or firm owner that has somewhere between 2 to 4 staff members, or is looking to add some of those. Maybe you're asking yourself the question, should I add staff? And what kind of staff do I need to add? We can help you evaluate that and make sure that you get the right person inside of your firm.
Yeah. So Marti, the traditional challenge that, as in the IMO world that you have with insurance advisors are their hesitancy or their fear of technology and systems and processes in the first place, right? I mean, you said it perfectly earlier that, you want to allow them to just do what they do best, right? Which is relationship build and just, sell more or advise more, whatever it is that the way you want to look at that. So what types of challenges have you seen helping them overcome the fear of adding a technology and helping the efficiency because they're so afraid of learning like new stuff because they've just been doing it a certain way for so long?
Great question. So, I would say that a few of the things are negotiable, and then there's some non-negotiable items. There's some things that you're just going to have to bite the bullet and adapt to. But there's some things that's what makes Nobleco a little bit unique is that we're working with the firms on an individual basis. So we're in the firms and we're understanding, what makes you feel warm and fuzzy or what things really you detest. And we understand that. So we'll help you with these systems based around those items. So I just got finished working with somebody that has like 100 checklists for everything. I mean, he has a checklist for those are his systems. So, in the morning when you come in, the checklist of opening the blinds and, doing all this stuff, like that's the checklist, empty the dishwasher, all that kind of stuff. And that works for him. But, and so the conversation that we have with him about this is that the goal is to remove you from all this, right? So you don't have to do any of it anyway. So it's okay that makes you feel good, but you don't have to use those checklists anyway. Your team are the ones that are going to need these processes. So, working with them on what works best within the systems that they have. Multiple software. That's one that we run into all the time is software that doesn't speak to each other. And that's a bottleneck in and of itself when you have to just duplicate information into multiple systems. So a lot of the stuff isn't necessarily that advisors, they think it's a lot harder than it is, right? So we have these solutions, and being around for 2 decades in this business and having these relationships with different firms and insurance carriers and whatever it is, we know about some of these things that maybe while you're in the day-to-day of running your practice, you're not privy to, or it's not brought to your attention. So we like to be able to bring those things in and say, hey, did you know, this CRM allows you to, go into your e-money accounts and allows you to kind of have those 2 things can speak to each other. So we do bring in suggestions like that. social media marketing, marketing, when we talk about practice management, marketing is one of the, the pillars within practice management. And it's also what's going to make your practice sellable eventually. If you have a good marketing system down, if you have a good online presence, a good social presence, that just adds to the value of it. So, we talk to, I think it's just reframing a little bit the way that folks think about some of these digital tools, and allowing them to see really what they're good for. Yes, it can be a hassle. And there's so many, nowadays there's so many companies that'll do it all for you. You can just set it and forget it and not really have, too much to do with it. So
Stephanie, I've been saying this, for quite some time now, sort of piggybacking off of what Marti was just talking about. Do you kind of sort of feel like the ideal advisors are those who are so busy working in their business, they don't have time to work on their business, and you guys are here to kind of help them on integrations and being able to become more efficient? And obviously that takes away a lot of stress. And I know that advisors on a regular basis, especially those who are performance based, AKA you eat what you kill, right? Is that really what it is that is the thing that you can help bring to the table for them?
Yeah, but I think the very first thing, Carter, that we have to start with is awareness, because there's so many people that are not even aware how much time they're spending in their business as opposed to on their business. And so a big part of what we do is change management, right? We have to think about how people change, how they adapt to the kind of work that they do. And for the last 10 years, that's what I have been doing, is working with organizations on what change management looks like. So we do have like the technical aspects of change, all the stuff that Marti's talking about. It's the systems and the processes, how things speak to each other, how people interact with each other. But then there's the adaptive piece of it. And that's oftentimes what gets in the way. It's like our feelings, our perceptions, our habits, our beliefs. All of those things can really, really create problems for us and roadblocks in really making changes. So we do have to meet people where they are and understand, what are the things that you enjoy. So we have an advisor that we work with who really loves looking at spreadsheets and getting into the data. Right. So that's something he doesn't want to give up. And so when we talk about like that's an efficiency point or an inefficiency point, what we're ultimately doing when we say, hey, we got to change this, is we're taking away some level of confidence for him. And we have to really be respectful of that and understand, how do we work within these systems that people do have? What are the things that they do want to bring into place? And then we want to help them get to that place, because I want you to be doing $250 to $500 an hour work. I don't want you doing $15 to $20 an hour work because you don't have the level of trust, or you don't feel like people understand your business the way that you need them to. So what we do is really, we're a liaison between the advisor or the insurance agent and his team to really help build them up, build capacity, and ensure that ultimately everything is working towards that advisor. So we understand it's bespoke for every client that we work with because of that fact, because we do have different personalities, different needs, different things that drive us. And we certainly want to help them understand that. But it's that awareness piece of like defining that. Because I think that one of the things we always say is we all work to maximum energy, right? We get up and we have a certain level of energy and we expend that energy all day. But we don't always work to maximum efficiency. And so we want to help you understand what that actually looks like, and bringing that point of awareness is the first part.
Yeah. It's interesting. This is 20 years of industry experience I'm getting ready to share, but, the advisors that we work with, I think the biggest thing where they get in their own way, is they're just control freaks, right? They're just like, no one can do it as good as I can do it. So then they take on all of these things that I'm stealing this phrase. One of my buddies used to say this, cutting your own grass, right? Like, that's so below your pay grade to be cutting your own grass. So instead of like understanding that, hey, just pay somebody to do that, they're such control freaks in a lot of instances that they do that stuff that's below their pay grade. And what it sounds like that you guys are really trying to accomplish is helping them understand that in order to be efficient, you have to give your other staff the tools and the trust to be able to do the things that you know are going to get done. And ultimately, that's going to give you more time to enjoy that work balance, work-life balance that you're trying to accomplish. So Marti, do you want to talk on that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I 1,000% agree, and that's, and again, as Stephanie just said, it's a very bespoke relationship. So if we come in and sit down with somebody, our first step is to sit down with an advisor and talk. I mean, sometimes 3 hours to really get to know the advisor and really understand what makes them tick, why they got in the business in the first place, how it's changed over time, what things are getting in their way. I mean, aside from, big things like regulation and, industry stuff, you have a family now, and, what does that time look like? And we're really just trying to understand the advisor. So in that first meeting, we're understanding what their goal is. And sometimes it's like, hey, I've got a young kid at home and I cannot be working 12-hour days, 6 days a week. I need to spend more time with my family. Sometimes it's, I want to grow my business. Like I said, the gentleman that's 3 kids are in college, and now's his time. He feels like this is the time I really want to dedicate. So it's really understanding what is most important. And then we kind of work into that. And really all the things that we do and that we accomplish with a client can free up that time so you can do whatever you want with it. I mean, it really, but to bring it back, and we remind them as we go through the process of, well, remember you said that this is what's really important for you, to you. So if we're able to do that by setting up these processes and hiring a new staff member or moving some people around, and this accomplishes that goal, I mean, that's what we're trying to do, right? So it really just depends on the advisor and what their goal is.
So do the two of you, because when I keep hearing the two of you talk, it sounds like you're actually in these advisors' offices. Now, is that virtually you're in these advisors' offices, or are you physically traveling to wherever and going in? That way you can see what maybe the culture's like, or, the organization or lack thereof is. Stephanie, is that, am I hearing that right?
Yeah, so there's really multiple aspects to our process. And so we do have a virtual portion of it where we can do things virtually, like via Zoom. We'll do interviews, staff interviews, and things like that. But that's all of our qualitative and quantitative intake. So think about it as like an insights and intake time period where we're getting to understand and really hear what's going on within the practice. And then we do an in-office immersion where we actually do spend physical time in the office, and it's a critical part of what we do. And during that time, we are evaluating everything from client experience, like what does it feel like to come up to your office? Did I get communication? Am I walking into a space that feels open? How am I greeted? What does that look like? To watching how people work, how they interact, and looking at all of the elements of what we're walking through. We also have an advisor take us through a mock sales process, not necessarily their specific sales, but what does the process look like? What do they have in front of them? Where do they sit? How do they project things? What does this look like for them? So we do spend that time, and then we will give back our observations. So the first part of it is, again, our insights and intake, and that can be done virtually. And then we go in the office, and that's helping to validate and really start to uncover things that maybe the staff and the advisor aren't seeing. So often that's the case, right? You're in the business all the time. You have no idea what it feels like from an outside perspective. Yeah. And we're helping them really kind of understand that. So yes, big part of what we do is in person.
Yeah. Well, I know we're coming up on another break and everything, Marti, but I'll ask this last question, and then if Tim wants to interject anything. Whenever you're working with these advisors, I'm making the assumption also that they're not, I know you guys are located in Michigan and everything, but you work with advisors and you'll get on a plane, it sounds like, and travel to California or Florida? Or, I mean, is there a limit on the location?
No, there isn't. It's just, we'll go wherever. And as Stephanie said, that in-office immersion is just critical to the overall evaluation of the practice, because we can really get a good feel for the client experience, but also for the culture. There's some things, just being in the business as long as we have, there's some things that at Carter, you'd be the same way. You walk in and you're like, oh, this, you just know right away that there's just some things that you could fix and would change things immediately. So, so it's a big part of it. So that's, and you talk about it, especially in this day and age, like, can we make this all a remote experience for everybody? And we just, we talked about it and we just can't. It's just, we've got to get in there, and because every practice is different too, right? So our recommendations have to be specific to that practice.
That's really cool that you guys are going and seeing people in person. I think a lot of people, especially advisors, because I was an advisor, appreciate that hands-on approach. And that's a huge service. Because like you said, you can go into a restaurant and you see some dead flies in the window. The restaurant owner's got so much stuff going on in it, he's not seeing it.
Yeah.
But they're there. And it's just simple stuff like that. You're turning away clients and you don't know it just because you're in your world. You guys have a 30,000 foot view above that. So it's really good you come in and give that perspective so they can succeed. So we'll take another break. And when we get back, we'll open it up to all questions health related. We'll be right back.
You want the absolute best for yourself, and you want it to be easy. That's why we created Green 85. It helps with detoxifying the body gently. We're proud it's chemical-free, unlike almost all other supplements you'll find. Bottom line, Green 85 will get you healthier. We look forward to hearing what Green 85 did for you.
To get this product and our other amazing products, go to chemicalfreebody.com. That's chemicalfreebody.com.
What's up, Enrichers? Tim James here. I'm back with my co-host Carter Wilcoxon. Today in the house, we've got Marti and Stephanie from Nobleco. They've been very noble to come on the podcast with us and share with us their insights. And I think it's really cool what you guys are doing. I like the in-person stuff with the advisors, holding their hands and taking them. It's kind of like the core training. I'll give them a little plug. They work with high-end mortgage and real estate people. So back when I joined, it was a couple $1,000 a month for coaching. Now it's like $3,000 or something, $3,100. And they have different levels and tiers and stuff now. But back then it was just $2,000 a month. That's it. They had like 200 individuals. But you had to do, I think it was like you had to show them a W-2 if you're a mortgage person, like $125,000 a year. Otherwise, they wouldn't want to talk to you. So they said, look, helping somebody from scratch is tough. But you have somebody that's already good, they would just come in and like tweak, and then great. And just like business exploded. Double your income, double your time off was kind of their motto. And it sounds like you guys kind of do the same thing. You take people that are already kind of there, they're doing it, but they're good at what they do, but they need the tweaks. And those little tweaks are so important. One degree off on your, like if your plane takes off, and then you switch it 1 degree, it's going to land in a completely different destination. That's what you're doing. You're changing the trajectory of these businesses. So I think that's really cool. And now we get to open it up to questions about health. So you guys can ask me anything about your own health, your kids' health, public health. It doesn't matter. Just anything in general.
Love it, Tim. I do have some questions. I don't know. I'm so excited for this portion of it because I feel like I've got a lot. I want to get your thoughts and your take on really what good sleep looks like. I mean, how many hours should we be getting, and how do we actually prepare our bodies so that we can have good sleep? Because I find like I'm like waking up in the middle of the night all the time and doing stuff. Like, what is sleep to you in your kind of world?
Well, when you say waking up in the middle of the night, are you just waking up because you have ideas, or do you have to go to the bathroom? Or
usually it's ideas. It's like ideas are moving, or I've got thoughts that are racing through my head of like things that I've got going on, and things like that. So
Well, everybody's a little bit different, but generally it's somewhere between that 7 to 9 hour window. People that get really in tune with their bodies through meditation and work can get the hours down, because it's not so much about the length of sleep, it's the quality of sleep. We have a real national crisis called shallow sleep syndrome. It means people are sleeping 8 hours, but they wake up exhausted, right? That's what's happening. Many people are having this issue where they're waking up in the middle of the night, many times just to pee. I think it's just because you're excited about life, right? So you're kind of high, go, 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 and your mind's just going. So I would guess, but I don't want to guess. So how often do you meditate?
Probably about 4 times a week.
4 times a week. Okay.
Yeah.
So, some things for the A-type personality, the person out there that's go, 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 that's like in your situation, just to be more specific, I would say that it's more about the routine prior to bed.
Okay.
Right. Are you on your devices right before bed?
I stopped using my devices because of that. And so I was like, oh, maybe I could start journaling or something just to get some of those thoughts out ahead of time. But yeah, I did stop using them. But I just still find myself, I'm like waking up all the time. And so certainly.
Have you ever done yoga before?
I have. Yes.
Okay.
I do it.
So
yeah,
yoga is really good. What about infrared saunas?
Never.
Okay, so this is just because I'm assuming you're probably pretty busy, because you mentioned you had 4 kids and you have a business and you're flying all over the United States and help people. So you probably would like some time hacks. So one thing that would be very good for you, I don't know if Carter's got his in right yet. You need to give yourself that Christmas gift.
I know. Yeah.
There's a little. I've been a sauna dealer for 9 years, and saunas they're freaking awesome. Like, I could explain to you, they're great for losing weight, increasing circulation, detoxing, killing cancer cells. I mean, they do all kinds of stuff. And that was not me saying they kill our cancer cells, because I'm not a doctor. I don't say that kind of stuff. But that was Dr. Coyne, who did 5 years worth of research via the FDA, that said that to Dr. Clement. He said, look, if you get people into an infrared sauna 6 days a week, it's much more effective than killing cancer cells than the hyperthermia treatment that we just studied for 5 years. So that's why at the Institute, they had all over the place. So out of all the wooden saunas, I picked this one company. We've been selling them for a long time. They're still the best. If you want to get a big wooden sauna, I still think Clearlight's the best, because they have virtually no EMFs. Their panels are in the proper position for maximum detoxification. There's no glues for off-gassing. They have a lifetime warranty. However, for a lot of people, they're more expensive. They weigh 600 pounds. They have to find a place to put them. A lot of times they have to have an electrician come out and spend $400,000, $500,000, $600,000, $800,000 wiring it up to handle the extra amperage. And they take, 15, 20 minutes to warm up. You got to do it for 30 minutes, and then you get out and you got to clean them. And okay, that's just the way it is. I did it for every day, 30 minutes for 9 years. Amazing. What they'll do is they'll take you out of fight or flight mode, and they'll put you into rest and digest mode. The easiest way I could relate this is taking a sauna like this is doing hot yoga for 90 minutes. That's what I did. When I was a financial advisor, I was doing Bikram hot yoga at the end of the day because I was stressed out. And no matter what I did, I didn't have any other tools. This was the first tool I had. I just got my butt into that class. Even if I didn't want to go, I just got there. If I get there. And then as soon as I completed that 90 minutes, I was out of fight or flight mode, and I was in rest and digest mode. And that was going to help me sleep. So this little sauna that I'm going to share with you, it's you can go to thehealthysauna.com. We've created a landing page for it, thehealthysauna.com. It's a third of the cost. It's 3 times more powerful than the unit I just told you. And literally in 15, 20 minutes, you just get into it. In 1 minute, you're hot. In 8 to 10 minutes, you're sweating. And in 15 to 20 minutes, done. In fact, at the beginning, you're lucky to make it 10 minutes, this thing. I've worked my way up now. I can do 30 minutes. But a regular sauna is going to raise your core temperature about 1 degree to 1.5 degrees. This sucker is going to raise it 3.2 degrees in 25 minutes. It's unheard of. It's because of the technology in it. There is nothing like the technology. They actually broke a natural law. So for you, this is going to be phenomenal, not just for your overall health, but to help you sleep. Because 2 hacks that we do, number one is we just tell people if they don't have, just rinse off in water just before you go to bed. Just hop in, hot, cold, doesn't matter. Just get in there, let water run over your body, and get right back out. That will help calm the system and help you sleep. So with this one, you take a sauna, and then you take the shower. It's double, right? Another thing you can do besides that is you can, if you're turning off your blue lights, right, that dim the lights down, reading, doing that, more of that stuff, and do something not business, something that you enjoy. Knitting, playing guitar, artwork, something that's using a different part of your brain, right? Something that's relaxing where you don't have to think. And then a spunk mat is also really good. Are you guys familiar with those?
Yeah, yes.
Oh my God, that's rare that most people, the little acupressure mats, you can lay on those for 10, 15 minutes, and those will help to give you like a little acupressure massage. Those will help you sleep. Also, cracking your window at night is very important so you have fresh air. If you don't have that, especially if you have carpet in your bedroom, then you need an air purification system in your room, at least in your room where you sleep, because it's off-gassing formaldehyde and all. So as you can see, we can start stacking all kinds of stuff. But I think in your situation, it's more stress. And so doing some type of yoga exercise before you go to bed, stretching and meditation, taking a sauna, and doing that spunk mat, between those things, I mean, that should knock it out of the park for you.
Love it. Thanks, Tim.
You're welcome.
Awesome. All right, Marti.
I want to continue this conversation a little bit because I did hot yoga a few times and every time I did it, got an unbelievable migraine from the hot yoga and lasted 24 hours. And so I haven't gone back because I did it once and thought maybe it was something else and went back again and it happened again. So I never went back. And, I drink a lot of water. I'm well hydrated, things like that. So, I mean, can some people just not handle that kind of heat? And I mean, is that?
Well, everybody's body is different. And that's one thing that a lot of people don't understand is like this one size fits all approach to medicine. Like everybody should get jabbed. It's completely insane. I mean, the whole thing doesn't even make sense. Every single person has different body composition, different stressors, different life events, different things they're exposed to where they're living, whether it's, Flint, Michigan water or power lines you're living next to, or the neighbors, or there's a chemical factory next to you, or even if they're not, it could be somebody like this gentleman that was on the side of the Colorado Rocky Mountains that got really sick. They couldn't figure it out. And one of the doctors like, maybe it's your water. He's like, no, I'm on the side of the Colorado Rockies. Like, come on. Well, it was fracking 200 miles away that was disturbing all this stuff, and it was like underwater aquifer up the side of the Rockies, and he was poisoning himself, right? So that's what it was. So as an intelligent system, that's what you are, because you have a goal for your body and you have a sensor to sense how you feel. And obviously when you did hot yoga, you sensed that I have headaches for 24 hours, right? So you were smart. You're like, use my controller to not do that anymore. So what I would suggest is, number one, let's really look at, are you hydrating properly? Because a lot of people say they drink a lot of water, but what kind of water are you drinking? Are you drinking water that's out of plastic bottles? Are you drinking water that's city tap water? Because if it is city tap water, that water really needs to be not only purified, but restructured, because it's not going to absorb well. You can drink a lot of water. You can be the water queen, carry your water jug around like Carter does now with his pink bottle. And
jug. And I fill up my pink bottle.
That's right. It's glass. He's using glass now. So, and you can drink a lot of water, but you're just going to be peeing it out. And if you're drinking out of plastic, you're putting estrogen mimicking hormones in there that lead to breast cancer, ovarian cysts, uterine cysts, and a whole lot of other problems, disrupting the hormonal balance that's already disrupted. It's really bad. Like if I do a class now and I have a bunch of women in there, how many women here have thyroid issues? Half their hands in the room go up today. So it's pretty severe. It's because of our environment. Right, it's our environment. So that water's got to be clean, purified water, and then it needs to be restructured if you're on city tap water, because those high pressure pipes are literally making the molecules too big, and they won't go through the intestinal lining that well at all. So that would be number one. Number two is what I would recommend is, when you go in to do hot yoga, obviously you own Nobleco, so that tells me you're A-type, hard charging type gal. Do you feel a little competition when you go in there to do all them poses and finish everything?
Maybe little.
Okay. So was there points in time in that class, especially in the beginning, where you were like, I need to get out of here. I need to sit down, but you kept
just
pushing.
Need to lay down. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. So a lot of times the ego is the worst thing to happen. I'm also a yoga instructor, so I can speak to this directly. So the whole purpose of yoga is for you to go in and have your experience and your journey. There might be somebody in the front of the room that's been doing Bikram hot yoga for 20 years and they can do all the poses and they look amazing and all that stuff. That's great. You can model after them. But the bottom line is if you just get in the room and you lay down on the mat and take a nap for 90 minutes, that's fantastic. That's unbelievable, because the habit of getting into that room is the most important thing. So what I would suggest you do is get your hydration levels. Make sure you're getting the really good water. And if you need help with that, you can go to mypurifiedwater.com and book a consult with our water gal, Danusha. But just go back into the class and do it again. But as soon as you find any inkling of you just need to take a break, you can just lay down. You can just lay down in Savasana, or you can just get on your hands and knees and just sit there, and just chill out for a while and then resume when you want to do it. And don't push yourself so much. Just take it easy. And love yourself, and just keep showing up and go about it gently and be gentle, because I've talked to Navy SEALs that have went into hot yoga, and they said that Navy SEAL training was easier than hot yoga. They've said that. And you know why? He said, because in Navy SEAL training, we can't leave. We can't leave. But in hot yoga, you can get up and leave.
Yeah.
There's nobody forcing you to be there. And
Right.
I've taken some, like I had a buddy of mine on my baseball team who was a well, he wasn't on my team, but it's a similar league and stuff like that. And this guy was a flat out stud physically, and his baseball career, just amazing what he could do. And he kind of let himself go. He got into the mortgage industry and gained a bunch of weight. And in his 30s, he was taking like a couple of prescription drugs. I'm like, Sam, dude, what are you doing? I'm like, you're 30 some years old, dude. So, and then I invited him to hot yoga. And then he did the yoga class, and afterwards he comes up to me. He's like, dude, he goes, I had no idea how out of shape I was. That class kicked my ass. I mean, it killed me. And he got scared off and never came back again. But some people do. Right? So the whole point is, I think yoga is fantastic, especially if you're 35 or older. You need to stretch every single day. If you're not stretching, you're going to look like an old person. You're going to crinkle back up. You're going to lose height and all that stuff, and things aren't going to work that good, and you're going to be more susceptible to injuries. And yoga is just a really good thing to keep the body moving, move that fascia, keep the organ systems moving. We're supposed to move. Movement is very important, especially today with the amount of chemical pollution we have. Movement moves your lymphatic system, which is your natural garbage removal system in the body, and it's so important to move every single day. And I think yoga is a really good thing. You might not need to, if you're listening, you might not need to do hot Bikram yoga right out of the gate, but start off with yin yoga. It's a 3 to 10 minute stretching posture yoga. It's very passive. And I think, there's all kinds, hatha yoga, vinyasa yoga, and of course, Bikram and Kundalini. There's all different types. Try them all out. Try different instructors, because the first one you go to, you might get some dolt of an instructor, and that might sour you on the deal like it did for me. So just try a whole bunch of instructors, a whole bunch of different classes, find out the rhythm that you want. Maybe you just want to do Bikram yoga every day. Maybe you want to do Bikram once a week, and you do Kundalini once a week, and you do yin twice a week, and you find out your rhythm, and you get your instructors, and you can do all this from your home too. You don't need to go to a gym or a yoga studio to do it. There's a lot of people instructing online, and then you don't have to wear a mask either, which is really stupid at all in the first place. But especially when you're trying to do breathing exercises or something like that, or doing hot yoga, wearing a mask is just kind of makes no sense. So, you guys have any other questions about health?
I do want to take on something you said, Tim, about the flexibility, because I think that's something I do a lot of Pilates too. And so I do a lot of Pilates, do a lot of yoga. But what about the spaces like where there's hypermobility, where potentially you're getting hurt for that? So I think that, because that's something that I've dealt with, is hypermobility in my hips for a long time, and having 4 kids, all these things that happen as a result of it. How do you balance like this need for flexibility and being flexible with sometimes being hypermobile that actually could cause injury?
Yeah, well, that's actually a small niche, but there are people out there that have been doing yoga. Actually, one of the first people I met was my dentist. He was this holistic dentist for 30 years, and he did yoga pretty much every day. And he went from being completely inflexible to over flexible. So he had that problem. So it's really simple. If you've done yoga and then you go do weight resistance exercise and then go back in and do yoga again, you'll notice how much you tighten up. Right. So it's that yin yang, right? So not only are we supposed to be stretching, but out in nature, we would be lifting things and doing things. So, you can do some basic movements like, push-ups and squats, and be very careful when I say the word deadlifts, because one of my best friends growing up, totally a cool dude, blew his back out when he's a freshman doing deadlifts. And he was a basketball star that never got to be. And he would have doing like 360 dunks and stuff when he was in 8th grade. It was ridiculous, but he blew himself out. So, weight resistance exercise is a good way to do it. And I would recommend bands. Using bands as well is very good for people to start. And that will, that kind of stuff will tighten you up.
Mm-hmm. Awesome.
So do you do much weight resistance exercise?
Well, with Pilates you do, but it's more body weight resistance, right? So you're doing quite a bit. So with bands,
so I would,
using like the reformers and things like that.
Yeah, so Pilates, it's good, but it's also kind of in that stretching mode as well. So, I would just do some like static type weights, like I said, squats and deadlifts and lat pulls and chest press and curls and that kind of stuff. And it's kind of crazy because you don't see this a lot, where you have to have people tighten themselves up. So you've really got into you've done the work so much so that you're super flexible now. So a little balance there, I think you'd be fine.
Love it. Thanks.
Yeah, no problem. Anything else, Marty? We good?
I think we're good.
All right. Back to you, Carter.
Well, awesome. I appreciate the two of you coming on today and everything. And Tim, I don't know if you want to extend one of the things I know that we do for a lot of our advisors, where you'll do a coaching session. I mean, they obviously have a lot of advisors. So I know that we were talking about, potentially you doing it.
Oh, yeah. So I'll speak to that.
Yeah.
So one thing we can do as a value add for you or for your clients, we could talk about this. Depends on how much time availability I have or how many clients you have. But we can do a class for you and all of your clients, right? Where we could do some type of a health class, kick them off of the year, nutrition, give you kind of a value add that nobody else in your space is doing, where we're helping on the health side. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how much money you have, how great your practice is. If your health's in the toilet, what's it matter? Like, it doesn't matter, because I just saw a quote. Oh God, it's a great quote. I don't want to butcher it, so I'm going to pull it up and I'm going to read it to you guys, because it's pretty awesome. Here we go. A healthy man wants 1,000 things. A sick man only wants one. Confucius. So there it is. So what we can do is we can do a class. We can do a live stream class. You guys could promote it, have people show up. We can do a class with a live Q&A, and then you guys could take that and use it and put it on your website, promote it, do whatever. And then I'd be willing to do that every once in a while for you, do follow-ups. It depends on the situation and all that, whether we do it annually, quarterly, or something like that. I can do live classes like that and create some extra value for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just wanted to talk about that simply because, when you're talking about a stress-free environment, right? The whole purpose of the Health and Wealth podcast to start in the first place was really to help people understand the connectivity between health and wealth, right? And to Tim's point, and we've said this countless times on the show, that it doesn't matter how much money you have, right? It literally matters not if your health is no good. And I know that a lot of times what we promote to our advisors is, hey, your clients that are older generation, we'll do a show with them and come in, and it gives them a value add additionally, because don't you want to have your clients, be healthier and have longevity? And aren't we in the longevity industry in the first place, between annuities and life insurance and all those things? So they're all interconnected, which is why whenever Tim and I first started contemplating having this show, it was a perfect marriage. So that was why I was excited about having the two of you on. Stephanie, I got a chance to meet you today for the first time. Very nice meeting you, by the way. And Marty and I obviously have known each other in our past lives and everything. So I was super stoked about being able to have the two of you on as guests today. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It was
Carter,
fun.
I'll say this too as we wrap up, because I was a business coach before I did this. I did that for a little bit of a stint, and I was always coaching people. Even when I was in the mortgage industry, I had 21 real estate agents that I coached in groups of 3, and I helped train them on their profit and loss statement, personal budget, etc. And what I've noticed is that I had one guy, and because I knew him, and I said, "Hey man, what's the most you've ever made in a month?" He said 8,000. I said, "Well, hey, why don't we set up a goal that you crack 10,000 before the end of our 6-month health coaching?" And I never bring up money when I'm health coaching. It's just all focused on health, right? And by month 2.5, he'd hit 10,300. And one of the reasons why is because the body is the vehicle that is going to run your business, basically, right? So if I can show you, like literally what we're looking at is on a cellular level, your cells are vibrating at a certain frequency. If I can show you how to increase that frequency, turn it up, not only are you going to have more energy to make more calls, have better presentations, have better mental clarity, you are literally raising the amount of electrons spinning in your cells, and you are going to become more attractive vibrationally to your clients. There's going to be something different about her, something special about him. I don't know, honey. We've met with 5 people, but I really like her. I think we should go with her. Something unique about her. So we went back and interviewed quite a few people that were either on commission based or had their own companies. We noticed, even though when I coached them on their health, we extrapolated out, those people increased their incomes by about 21%. So it is pretty profound. So if you get some guys out there like, I don't want to help my health, blah, blah, blah. Let's say, hey, this guy will help increase their sales, their revenue by 21% in 6 months by getting healthier. Maybe we can help out their health by dangling a little, their little money greedy carrot in front of them. So whatever we can do to get them healthy. So I just want to leave with that.
Yeah, I love it.
There you go. Well, hey, Enrichers, thank you so much for joining us for another Health and Wealth podcast show. And if you want to be able to go back and see all of the previous guests that we've had on the show, make sure to check out www.thehealthandwealthpodcastshow.com for all of our previous podcasts. You can also get us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google, Podbean, wherever you get your podcasts. For my great, amazing, fantastic co-host, Mr. Chemical Free Body himself, I'm Carter Wilcoxon, CEO and founder of CSI Financial Group and co-founder of Epic Services Company. Marti McLeish and Stephanie Murphy of Nobleco.com. Thank you so much for being our guest today. I want everybody out there to have a fantastic rest of your week and abundant as well. So thank you all so much for joining us. Until next time, make sure to tune in, share, like, and subscribe to www.thehealthandwealthpodcastshow.com. Everybody have a great day. Stephanie, Marti, thank you again for joining us.
Thanks.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye. Thanks so much.
Hey, Enrichers. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Health and Wealth Podcast. I'm your host, Carter Wilcoxon.
And I'm your host, Tim James. And by God, we are committed to helping you guys have fat wallets, flat bellies. So tune in again for another episode and make sure to like, share, and drink a lot of water.
Or beer.
You have just listened to the Health and Wealth Podcast with Carter and Tim.